The Cleveland Browns just pulled back the curtain on something fans have been dying to know, and what their offensive coordinator, Rees, revealed might change everything you think you know about the team's future. This wasn't your typical bland press conference packed with corporate nonsense and safe answers. No, this was raw, unfiltered, honest. A deep look into one of the most pressure-packed jobs in all of sports, molding a rookie quarterback into a franchise cornerstone. And here's the kicker. Rees didn't just praise. He didn't just critique. He straight up dissected his rookie quarterback's game, every throw, every decision, every mistake. And in doing so, he revealed something Browns fans have waited decades to hear. A real plan. Not hype, not hope. A plan to build a quarterback the right way. If you're a Cleveland fan, you should be fired up. Because this wasn't a guy covering for a struggling rookie, it was a coach laying out the blueprint for what might become the most important story in Cleveland football in years. But what exactly did Rees say that has reporters buzzing and opposing defenses taking notes? Well, let's break it all down, because what's happening behind the scenes in Cleveland is way deeper than it looks. Let's be honest, NFL press conferences are usually about as exciting as a punt on 4th and 1. Most coaches walk up to the podium, drop a few bland cliches, toss in some generic praise, maybe deflect a tough question, and call it a day. You could listen to 10 of them in a row and not remember a single word. But what Rees did recently? Yeah, that wasn't one of those. The Browns' offensive coordinator didn't just react to a win or talk vaguely about execution. He tore open the playbook. He gave reporters and fans a front-row seat to how you actually develop a rookie quarterback in the NFL. From the moment he was asked about the young quarterback's first real road performance, Rees flipped the script. This wasn't about hype. This wasn't about deflection. This was about truth, the kind of thing coaches only say behind closed doors. He started by acknowledging a fact that every football fan knows but barely ever hears a coach say out loud, winning on the road as a rookie quarterback is a nightmare. And he didn't sugarcoat it. Think about what a young QB is up against. You walk into a hostile stadium. The crowd is screaming from kickoff to final whistle. Every snap feels rushed. You can't hear the checks. The pass rush feels faster. The margins are tighter. And oh yeah, the guy across from you has probably been in the league 7 years, and his only goal today? Putting you on a highlight reel. It's a baptism by fire, plain and simple. But here's where Rees really started to separate himself from what we're used to hearing from NFL coaches. He didn't waste a single sentence on box scores or empty results. He didn't dwell on touchdowns or turnovers. Instead, he focused on something entirely different: the process. Not the kind that gets thrown around endlessly in self-help books or corporate meetings either. Rees made it clear he's teaching his quarterback how to think, not just how to throw. Every snap, every read, every wrong decision is a breadcrumb on the trail to becoming great. And he dropped a line that might have flown under the radar, but if you're paying attention, it should hit you like a brick. He said, "Correctable mistakes are just easier to swallow when you win than when you lose." Let that sink in. What Rees is really saying is that development, true development, has a cost. The QB is going to make mistakes, plenty of them, but as long as those mistakes are being fixed, stacked on top of teachable moments, that's not failure, that's growth. Think about how rare that kind of mindset is in the NFL. Quarterbacks today aren't developed, they're judged. From the first snap of their career, one bad drive and Twitter's calling them a bust. One interception and analysts are questioning their mechanics. Coaches? Some can't afford to wait. They panic. They go conservative. Sometimes they even pull the plug entirely before the kid has a chance to breathe. But Rees? He's playing the long game, and that's what stood out more than anything. Of course, he admitted the game wasn't perfect. He even said bluntly that there were a lot of plays his quarterback would love to get back. He didn't try to hide it. No spinning, no damage control. But in the next breath, he balanced it out. He highlighted the drives where the rookie delivered, the throws that helped move the chains, the reads he made that helped put points on the board, and most importantly, the fact that his quarterback did enough to walk away with a W. That balance? That's what coachable confidence looks like in real time. You're not throwing a kid under the bus, but you're not pretending he's a finished product either. And that approach doesn't just impact the quarterback, it trickles down to the entire locker room, the receivers, the line, the running backs. Because when your OC is willing to be that real in public, you can imagine what those meetings are like behind closed doors. And here's something else Rees subtly revealed. He's not coaching his quarterback to beat one team, he's coaching him to lead the franchise. It's a different mindset entirely. You're not just preparing a kid for next Sunday, you're preparing him to own every single snap 3, 4, 5 years from now. That future-first mentality? That's rare in this league where coaches are just trying to survive into next season. Tommy Rees isn't operating like a play caller. He's operating like a teacher. And that alone should be exciting if you're a Browns fan, because for the first time in a long time, it feels like there's intentionality in how this offense is being built. No impulse decisions, no flavor of the week schemes. Just a step-by-step process to build a quarterback and maybe, just maybe, build something this franchise hasn't had in over 2 decades. Stability at the most important position in sports. But that honest breakdown? That was just the beginning. Because what Rees revealed next about how they're shaping this QB into a true pocket passer while balancing his natural instincts takes the game to another level. Most NFL coordinators talk about progress, like it's a buzzword. But when Tommy Rees says it, he means it. In fact, his whole approach to developing this rookie quarterback hinges on one thing: the process. Not the result, not the highlights, just the process. It's easy to talk about wins. It's easy to celebrate when the scoreboard leans your way. But what Rees made clear in his press conference, in the kind of brutally honest tone you rarely hear, is that the real value comes from what happens in between the touchdowns and the turnovers. He isn't coaching to cover up mistakes. He's coaching to build reactions, instincts that hold up under fire. And if that sounds abstract, don't worry. Rees broke it down in a way that makes sense, even if you've never stepped onto a football field. He said, "We're not focused on whether we won or lost the game. Our focus is always on what we can correct, what we can coach, what we can improve." That mindset might sound basic, but it's revolutionary when you realize how backwards some NFL franchises have become when it comes to handling young QBs. In most places, a rookie throws a pick or takes a bad sack, and everyone panics: coaches, fans, even the quarterback himself. Suddenly, you're changing your game plan, dialing back the risk, or worse, questioning whether this guy's got it. But not in Cleveland. At least not right now. Rees is teaching this kid that every snap, win or lose, is film to learn from. Every broken play is an opportunity to coach. Every mistake, no matter how frustrating, is fuel for improvement. And here's where it gets even more interesting. He's not just looking at the quarterback's execution, he's dialing into his decision-making. This isn't about completing passes for the sake of numbers. It's about understanding coverage, reading defenders, knowing where the ball should go even if it never does. It's chess, not checkers. In one moment, he zeroed in on a sequence where everything seemed to go wrong. Backed up on the road, pressure closing in, the timing was off. Most young quarterbacks freeze in that situation. But Rees looked past the chaos and found something else, a teachable moment. According to him, it wasn't about the missed throw or the busted blocking assignment. The real story was how the quarterback responded. Did he identify what went wrong? Did he ask questions on the sideline? Was he calm, frustrated, laser-focused? That's what matters. Rees said flat out, "There were a few moments our guy would want back, no question. But the way he rebounded, the way he diagnosed those plays when we watch the tape, tells you everything you need to know." And this is where most coaches miss the point. A rookie quarterback doesn't get better by having perfect games. They get better by understanding their bad ones. Rees isn't asking for flawless football. He's asking for awareness. And that brings us to one of the biggest strengths this young quarterback has shown so far: his ability to self-correct. Rees gave an example. A third down where the quarterback bailed out of the pocket early and likely missed a chance to hit a receiver down the middle. Happens all the time, right? But what stood out wasn't the mistake, it was the reaction. Before the coaches even brought it up, the quarterback had already flagged it. He knew right away that he should have stayed inside, trusted his protection, and gone through his progressions. That kind of self-awareness? Rare. Especially for a rookie. And it's exactly what separates guys with potential from guys with staying power. Because in the NFL, the biggest jump isn't physical, it's mental. Rookie quarterbacks who flame out? It's usually not because they can't throw. It's because they stop growing. They keep making the same decisions, taking the same sacks, forcing the same throws. Why? Because no one ever taught them how to fix it. Rees isn't letting that happen. He's basically acting like a quarterback whisperer, building a foundation not just with play calls, but with habits, with instincts, with trust. And here's another detail that tells you all you need to know about how seriously the Browns are handling this situation. Rees and his staff are breaking down film with their quarterback to highlight exactly what a clean pocket feels like. Not looks like, feels like. They're training him to identify safety tells, pressure illusions, blitz, disguise, all the small details your average fan never sees. Why? Because knowing when to stay in the pocket and when to use your legs is everything. And let's not forget, this isn't some statue back there. This quarterback can move. He's got that playmaker gene. But if you want to last in this league, to win in this league, you've got to know when to sit in the fire and make the right read. Rees is giving him that knowledge in real time. And that's why this process over perfection thing isn't just lip service, it's working. The quarterback is starting to build those invisible tools that no stat line can capture. Patience, poise, judgment, vision. That's the glue that holds a franchise quarterback together. And as we'll see next, Cleveland's rookie is showing signs that he's getting it, especially in one play that had every coach, player, and fan leaning forward. A 52-yard bomb, on the road, under pressure. And it might be the defining moment of the season so far. When most fans watch a game, they see the outcome. The completion, the sack, the scramble, the throwaway. It's binary. Good play, bad play. But to a coach like Tommy Rees, a single snap is more like a chess move with layers, misdirection, and micro decisions that ripple through an entire offense. And one of the most critical parts of that chess match? Knowing when to stay in the pocket and when to break out. Now, if you've watched Cleveland's rookie quarterback play, you've probably noticed something over the last few games. He's not running nearly as much. He's staying in the pocket more, going through his reads, looking composed. And no, that didn't happen by accident. During the press conference, one reporter brought it up. They wanted to know how Cleveland managed to get their rookie QB to operate more from the pocket, especially compared to his earlier snaps like those 2 flash-filled quarters against Baltimore. That's when Rees cracked the door open into the real coaching work being done behind closed doors. And his response? It wasn't a headline grabber. It wasn't some click-ready soundbite. But it was pure gold for anyone actually paying attention. He said point blank, "There's no magic formula, no secret sauce. It's repetition, evidence, and teaching." Translation? This is the grind. They're training a young quarterback to trust what he sees and what he feels within that pocket. Because once the NFL game speeds up, instincts take over. And if your instincts are telling you to run every time something doesn't look perfect, you're not going to last. So how do you change that? You retrain his eyes. Rees explained that their staff is constantly showing tape of clean pockets, reinforcing the window of time the quarterback actually has to breathe and go through his progressions. Because rookie quarterbacks often make one of 2 mistakes. They bail out too early, feeling phantom pressure that isn't there. Or they hold too long, not realizing that clock in their head needed to go off 2 seconds ago. What Rees wants is balance and, more importantly, awareness. And guess what? His quarterback is starting to get it. Here's the moment where Rees really let us in. He recalled a specific 3rd down where the rookie drifted left out of the pocket, not because of a sack, not because of panic, but because instinctively he thought pressure was coming that wasn't. It was a small mistake, didn't cost them the game, but it stood out. Why? Because the quarterback came off the field and immediately blamed himself. No prompt, no correction needed. He saw the bust, recognized it, and admitted, "I should have stayed in and kept climbing the pocket." And that right there is everything Rees is trying to build. See, physical ability is easy to identify. You can see a rocket arm, you can time a 40-yard dash. But this is film room maturity. This is a quarterback building mental reps and applying them in live games automatically. That kind of growth is invaluable. But here's where it gets even more exciting, because the lesson isn't always stay in the pocket. That would be just as limiting. Rees made it clear. The coaching staff wants their quarterback to use his athleticism. Sometimes, escaping the pocket is the best move. But the key is knowing the difference. And he broke down a textbook example. There was a play where pressure came hard off the right edge. No chance to stay in. The rookie broke right, kept his eyes up, and fired a strike across the field to Jerry for a huge gain. Sounds simple? Not really. Because what rookie quarterbacks usually do in that situation? They panic, they tuck and run, or worse, they drop their eyes and start thinking about survival instead of scanning the defense. Rees said flat out, "That's what separates this kid. He keeps his eyes downfield." Think about that mentally. You've got a 275-pound linebacker sprinting toward you, your internal alarm bells are screaming, and instead of ducking and running, You keep scanning the field for a receiver that might be coming open. That's not just skill, that's trust, and it's starting to build. And according to Rees, that trust goes both ways. When you see your quarterback making the right reads, staying calm in the storm, adjusting his tendencies, you start to believe in him more as a coach. You start calling plays differently. You stop worrying about needing training wheels every time you dial up a pass. And that changes the offensive identity completely. Suddenly, you can stretch the field. Use layered route concepts. Unleash your playbook in ways most rookie-led teams can't. Because your quarterback is becoming more than just a playmaker, he's becoming a processor, a thinker, someone who wins between the snaps, not just during them. That balance, physical talent plus growing football IQ is the holy grail, and it's what every franchise dreams of finding at that position. And if Rees is right, Cleveland may have finally found it. But the defining moment of this development? It didn't come in the first quarter. It came on a single, jaw-dropping, everything on the line throw a moment under massive pressure, with everything pointing to failure, except one fearless decision. Let's talk about that 52-yard bomb and why it might just be the exact moment the Browns franchise turned the corner. There are moments in football that don't just shift games, they shift narratives. For the Browns, one of those moments came on a single play. A 52-yard bomb that silenced a hostile stadium, lit up highlight reels, and may have quietly marked the beginning of a new era under center in Cleveland. Let's set the scene. It was third down, on the road. That killer welcome to the NFL scenario for any young quarterback, and just to make things interesting, the defense called cover 0. Translation? No safety help over the top, no extra protection blanket, just man-on-man across the board with a free rusher barreling toward the quarterback the second the ball was snapped. It's the kind of look that says, let's see if this kid can handle the heat. Now, most rookies, that's where their panic sets in. They see that free runner and everything goes sideways. Either they take a sack, panic throw, or force something that's not there. But not this time. Rees described the play in detail, and you could hear the excitement in his voice. It wasn't just a good throw. It wasn't just a big gain. This was a defining moment. The ball was snapped. The edge pressure came exactly as expected. The rookie felt it but calmly stood tall. He planted, didn't flinch, and threw off his back foot as the rush landed him on the turf. And then, magic. The ball never wobbled, never sailed, never drifted. It dropped, with perfect touch, right into the outstretched hands of his receiver, who was streaking behind the aggressive coverage down the sideline. 52 yards, one play, one shot, and he nailed it. Hit the spot. Rees called it an unbelievable individual effort. And yeah, that's completely fair, because this wasn't just physics. This wasn't just arm strength. This was the moment. Every QB has one. That instant where the game slows down, the confidence clicks, and your coaches and teammates start to believe in you at a different level. What makes this play so wild isn't just the distance or the pressure, but the context behind it. Think about it. This was the quarterback's first road start, first real experience with a ravenous crowd. And he's being hunted by a max pressure defense, literally daring him to take the shot. And he did. More than that, he punished them for it. And that's not just a highlight for the fans. That's a message to every defensive coordinator in the league. If you blitz us like that, we will beat you over the top. As Rees put it, there's actually a psychological effect to nailing a play like that early in the game. It doesn't just boost the quarterback, it throws the curveball back at the defense. Because after that throw, defensive play callers have to second-guess themselves. Do you really want to test this kid again with a full cover 0 blitz? Do you really want to leave your corners on an island with no help? Rees said it subtly, but the implication was clear. That play may have altered the entire defensive strategy for the rest of the game. And that's the kind of impact great quarterbacks have. One play doesn't just get you yards, it creates leverage. It takes control of the narrative. It buys breathing room, not just on the field, but in the quarterback's mind. But beyond the scheme, beyond the coverage, the pressure, the blitz, here's what makes that throw legendary. It showed the one thing you can't teach: baller instinct. A lot of quarterbacks play the position. Very few own it. That throw under blitz, feet off the ground, collapsing pocket was a full-on I belong here moment, and Rees knew it. He didn't hype it like a fan would. He analyzed it like a teacher. He pointed out how the mechanics, while imperfect, didn't matter because the quarterback's processing was flawless. He recognized the one-on-one matchup. He trusted the route. He trusted himself, and he let it rip without hesitation. Confidence under chaos. That's what turns a promising prospect into a franchise quarterback. And Rees added another layer to it most fans wouldn't notice: the timing of it. That shot wasn't forced. It didn't come out of panic. It showed that the quarterback isn't just guessing, he's learning what aggressive looks to capitalize on. He's absorbing protective schemes, route leverage, safety tendencies. He's not just reacting, he's understanding. And that's what Rees has been preaching all season long. You don't just teach quarterbacks how to make plays, you teach them when. And boy, did he pick the perfect time. From that moment on, things changed. The offense looked looser, the rhythm picked up, the trust palpable. That throw did more than move the chains. It became a statement, not just to the opponent, but to the locker room, to the staff, to the fans, even to himself. I've got this. And as the game progressed, Rees called plays more confidently. The offensive line protected a little harder. The receivers ran their routes with that extra edge. Because when your QB delivers in the fire, everyone feels it. That's momentum. That's leadership. That's the kind of moment that turns a rookie into a guy the whole organization starts betting on moving forward. And the ripple effect didn't stop there. Rees hinted that the success of that single play might have opened the floodgates for deeper throws later in the game, shot plays that weren't just drawn up, but earned. Because once you show you can beat pressure with poise and placement, you earn the green light. And this quarterback just got it. But what happens when that mindset becomes part of the system? What happens when taking shots isn't a gamble, but part of a deliberate offensive philosophy? As we're about to see, Rees and his staff have built something deeper than just trick plays and lucky deep balls. They've built a process that teaches young quarterbacks when to take the shot and how to make it count. And this next example proves that it's not just about big plays, it's about big decisions. Let's talk about what Rees calls championship-level quarterbacking. If you want to win football games, you need good players. But if you want to win championships, you need players who know exactly when to take the shot. Anyone can throw deep. Heck, most guys in this league can flick their wrist and launch it 60 yards. That's not rare anymore. What is rare? The ability to know when to hold it, when to check down, and when to go for the jugular with full confidence that the coverage, protection, and timing are all in your favor. That's the standard Tommy Rees is setting for his young quarterback in Cleveland. After that 52-yard bomb lit a fire under the offense, the conversation at the press conference shifted away from performance and toward philosophy. A reporter asked a deceptively simple question: is this quarterback aggressive by nature, or is the staff just incredibly confident in him when drawing up deep shots? That's when Rees cracked open the next layer of how he's building this offense, and more importantly, how he's shaping the decision-making of his quarterback. First, he didn't bite on comparisons. No name drops of past players, no sweeping statements. In fact, he was surgical with his words. But what he said revealed everything you need to know about the evolution of this QB and this offense. Rees explained that every quarterback has their own comfort level with pushing the ball. Some guys want the big play every snap. Others are wired to avoid mistakes. But what separates the truly elite isn't whether they like to go deep, it's whether they know the right moment to do it. That's where coaching comes in, and Rees wasn't shy about it. He said the staff is intentionally training their quarterbacks to recognize those premier looks, the exact coverage, alignment, and matchup where the deep shot becomes not just an option, but the right decision. And when the call comes in, when that premier look does show up, there's no hesitation. Rees' words were crystal clear. If the look's there, you take your shot. If it's not, you check it down, live to fight another play, and we'll call it again later when the situation is right. That last part totally underlines the winning mindset. You don't force greatness. You identify the moment when greatness is available and you cash in with surgical efficiency. And he gave an example that spells it out perfectly. Earlier this season, the Browns dialed up a deep shot play. It didn't look great pre-snap. Coverage was tight. The defense showed nothing favorable. So their rookie calmly checked it down to Dave in the flats. Nothing dramatic, no fireworks, just a smart, confident choice. That play picked up 9 yards and kept the offense in rhythm. And you know what happened later? Same play, same design, different defensive look. This time, the rookie saw it. The leverage, the safety over commitment, the one-on-one matchup they were scheming for all along. And he took the shot. Result? Big gain to Harold, huge momentum swing, same call, better timing. This is the kind of difference coaches dream of teaching and rarely succeed in. You look back at guys like Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, even Joe Burrow. Now all of them develop their greatest asset over time: the internal clock combined with data recall. Knowing the playbook is great, but knowing when the playbook gives you an opening to attack, that's next level. And that's precisely what Rees is building: a quarterback who doesn't play fast, but plays smart. Because aggression without intelligence is recklessness. Intelligence without courage is hesitation. But when you pair the two, you get a killer. What Rees has done, and this is so important to understand, is create a repeatable process for his quarterback. A logical system he can trust, not just gut emotion or winging it, a real method that allows him to evaluate the pre-snap look, verify the leverage, make the quick call, go deep, or reset progression. Every quarterback has audibles, but Rees is building autonomy, the kind that allows a young QB to become the field general, not just the executor of whatever play was called in. And think about what that does for a young roster. When your quarterback starts playing with process-based confidence, the receivers start trusting the timing more. The offensive line knows the ball is coming out on cue. The call sheet opens up. The ripple effect is massive, and more than just opening up plays, it opens up leadership opportunities. Now that quarterback isn't just moving the ball, he's commanding the game. And that's the inflection point where we start to see glimpses of something bigger than just rookie promise. What Tommy Rees is doing here isn't flashy. This isn't throw a bazillion yards and hope we outscore them. This is strategic offense, rooted in growth, data, and discipline. It's the difference between a hopeful season and a sustainable system. A few years from now, if this rookie blossoms into a top-tier starter, it won't be because he had the biggest arm or ran the fastest 40. It'll be because of what Rees is teaching him right now. The stuff behind the scenes, the quiet moments in the film room, the no decisions on shot plays that eventually led to the one that cracked the game open. And we haven't even talked about the rest of the rookie class yet. Because while all eyes are on Cleveland's new quarterback, this young core undrafted free agents, late-round sleepers, day-one contributors is doing something the city hasn't seen in years. They're rising together. And in the next section, we're pulling back the curtain on a different kind of rookie revolution happening inside this Browns locker room, and why Rees says coaching them has become the most rewarding work of his career. If you've followed the Browns over the years, you know this franchise hasn't exactly been famous for patience. Not with quarterbacks, not with coaches, and definitely not with young players trying to rise through the ranks. But something feels different this season. Something's changed in the building. And Tommy Rees just confirmed it. In one of the most revealing sections of his press conference, someone asked him about the unusually high number of rookies seeing action week after week. And you'd expect the usual coach answers, "Next man up," "It's a learning curve," or "They're still figuring it out." Instead, Rees smiled, because to him, this isn't a burden, it's the best part of the job. He lit up when talking about their first-year players, not just the quarterback, but a roster full of young, hungry guys who aren't just surviving in the NFL, they're contributing in real ways. And in some cases, they're already shaping the team's identity. One of the first names he mentioned? SP. Now, outside Cleveland, SP might not be a household name yet. But inside that locker room, he's become a voice, a communicator, a tone setter. As Rees put it, the guy went from raw and reactive in minicamp to taking over post-practice breakdowns and leading film room conversations. That kind of progression? That's extremely rare. According to Rees, SP is just one example of the leadership spark that's starting to emerge in this class. He didn't inherit that role. He earned it day by day, snap by snap. And then there's Gage. An undrafted rookie, overlooked during the frenzy of the draft, barely made the 53-man roster. But now, he's on the field. And not just filling space, making plays. Rees told a story about Gage that should fire up any Browns fan. It starts on special teams. Gage races downfield, picks up a perfect blocking angle, creates a lane, and flips the field. It may not make the highlight reel, but Rees says that play changed the momentum. It led directly to a scoring opportunity. But Gage wasn't done. Later in that same game, they needed a 4-man offensive set, and there's Gage lining up across from a safety with 30-plus pounds on him. What did he do? He held his own, stood his ground, blocked like a seasoned veteran. That's the difference between guys playing to earn a stat and guys playing to earn trust. And according to Rees, that's exactly what this rookie class understands. They care, he said flatly. They care about football, they care about each other, and they care about getting it right. And that, more than speed or size or talent, is what changes the culture in a locker room. These aren't rookies playing scared. They're playing connected. They're bought in not just to the scheme, but to the process, the meetings, the film study, the constant correction. Rees even went as far as to say that working with this group, with this young core, has been the most rewarding experience of this season. And here's something you almost never hear in the NFL. Rees said he hasn't looked at having so many rookie contributors as a negative at any point this season. Let that sink in. Most coordinators would see it as a headache, a liability, a roster emergency. Rees? He sees it as a blessing. Why? Because rookies still soak up everything. They copy what they see. They absorb coaching. They ask questions. And if you build the right environment, one grounded in honesty, accountability, and growth, you don't just develop players. You develop a culture. And Cleveland might finally be doing that. From Harold's ridiculous yards after catch effort, to Sam Moore's emergence as a reliable back, to SP's leadership, to Gage's grit. These aren't just nice surprises. They're early signs of a team building from the inside out. It's not flashy. It's not headline material. But if you ask veteran coaches around the league, they'll tell you this is how winning teams are built. Not by signing big-name mercenaries. Not by lucking into one breakout season. But by finding guys who care about winning early and growing up together inside a system that challenges them every day. Rees said it best. When you see a guy go from rookie camp to leading a sideline or grinding through scout team to making a key block that springs a touchdown, that's what coaching is about. You can hear the pride in his voice. This isn't a coordinator talking about chess pieces. This is a teacher talking about his students. And make no mistake, the foundation being built right now could last far beyond this season. These rookies aren't just good, they're connected. They aren't just playing, they're learning how to win. And as we shift the focus to the run game, that same mindset is emerging, especially with two backs who are developing chemistry, rhythm, and trust. A true 1-2 punch that reflects everything Rees has worked to install in Cleveland: versatility, accountability, and total buy-in. Because in this next section, you'll see how the Browns' running back room, led by two very different, equally dangerous players, is becoming a critical weapon in their evolving offense. If there's one phrase that sums up this new-look Browns offense under Tommy Rees, it's this: built, not borrowed. Nothing about this system feels copy-pasted. It's tailored, it's layered. And perhaps nowhere is that more obvious than in their evolving run game, where two young running backs, Quinn and Sam, are creating the kind of 1-2 punch defenses hate to prepare for. Let's start with Quinn, the engine that's quietly been humming all season. Rees doesn't beat around the bush when talking about him. He says flat out, the offense runs through him. That's high praise. Not just for a back who gets carries, but for a guy who's become a cornerstone of the game plan week after week. Quinn's not just consistent, he's dependable, tough between the tackles, smart with his cuts, powerful through contact, and Rees makes sure his fingerprints are on every drive. Whether it's by design or adjustment, Quinn is always in the picture. Now enter Sam. At first glance, you might expect a huge drop-off between starter and backup, especially with a rookie. But as Rees put it, there's not a single play on the call sheet I'd hesitate to run just because Sam's in the game. That's not just rare, that's a luxury most teams don't have. Rees began intentionally scripting Sam into the offense more as the season progressed. And now? He doesn't just spell Quinn, he complements him. Different pace, different energy, but equal confidence in execution. Think thunder and lightning, but with both guys fully capable of handling every down responsibility. And the proof is in the tape. Sam had two impressive runs in back-to-back weeks. One of them, straight up burst through the second level, showed speed most defenses didn't know he had. In fact, a few reporters seemed surprised by how fast Sam turned the corner on a particular 20-plus yard run. Rees laughed in response, saying, "I joke with him all the time, if the first guy brings you down, we're gonna have words." But then he threw in a stat Sam ran in the 4.4 seconds coming out of college. So, yeah, he's got more juice than people think. But what impressed Rees even more than the breakaway speed was everything that led up to it. The stretch, the vision, the cut, and the execution across the board. He singled out blocks from Harold, Dave, and others that brought the whole thing together. Because when the system clicks, when the details line up, you don't just get a run, you get a moment that demoralizes defenses, lights up the sideline, and changes the tone of a drive. And then, there's the Wildcat. Yeah, you read that right. It caught fans off guard the first time. It even raised a few eyebrows among analysts. Why is an NFL team running a formation that peaked in 2008? Well, Rees smiled when asked about it like a man who's been waiting to use this chess piece in exactly the right moment. Turns out, his history with the Wildcat goes way back, all the way to Notre Dame, where he first installed a version of it, even if it didn't catch fire back then. But now, oh, it's working. Rees said it clearly. There are real schematic advantages to using it, especially in run-heavy situations. When you line up a non-QB under center, you gain an extra blocker, forcing defenses to account for all 11 players in the run game. And that one extra gap? That one inside edge where a linebacker hesitates? That's all the difference. Let's look at the numbers. In just 2 game packages, the Browns have scored 4 touchdowns using the Wildcat. That's no gimmick. That's high-level coaching married with sharp execution. Most importantly, Rees trusts Quinn to run it. He emphasized that point. You can't run the Wildcat unless you trust the player taking the snap to read fronts, handle exchanges, and execute all while thinking like a quarterback for a few seconds. And Quinn has earned that trust. Even more fascinating, the Wildcat became their go-to wrinkle during a game when their fullback was out due to injury. That eliminated certain personnel groupings from the playbook. So Rees reached into his bag and pulled out the formation that left the defense guessing. That's not desperation, that's adaptation. And that's what separates elite offensive minds from just good scriptwriters. Rees isn't forcing creativity, he's deploying it strategically, based on what the game demands and what his players can deliver. The Wildcat is now part of Cleveland's offensive toolbox. Not every game, not every drive, but just enough to keep defensive coordinators up the night before. Because how do you prepare for an offense that runs power from under center one drive, zone read the next, and suddenly throws in a 10-yard Wildcat score out of nowhere? You don't. Not easily. This level of multiplicity is dangerous, and it's made even deadlier by the fact that every player executing it is young, hungry, and still growing. Quinn is the tone setter, Sam is the spark. And Rees? Well, Rees is the conductor blending talent with timing, old-school toughness with modern creativity, and trusting his guys to rise with the moment. This backfield isn't just productive, it's foundational. And now, Rees is starting to see the same kind of foundation emerge in his pass catchers too. Especially one guy who isn't just racking up stats, he's destroying tackles, breaking every expectation, and redefining what yards after the catch looks like in Cleveland. Let's talk about Harold and how he's becoming the Browns' most dangerous difference maker in space. There's toughness, and then there's Harold. If you've watched even a few minutes of Browns football this season, you already know who we're talking about. He's that wideout who seems to take 5 hits per reception and still refuses to hit the turf. To most fans, he's become a walking highlight. Stiff arms, broken tackles, yards after contact numbers you wouldn't believe if you didn't see them live. But to Tommy Rees, he's something even more important, a tone setter. When asked to describe Harold's style, Rees didn't hold back. He called it ridiculous. And not just because he makes people miss, but because he fights through defenders with the kind of balance and strength that seems almost unfair. And here's the thing. According to Rees, it's not a fluke. It's not a hot streak. It's who Harold is down to his core. Rees went deeper, saying the staff has actually started coaching other players around Harold's habits. Not his route running, not his stats, his refusal to quit on the play. He said, and we quote, "When you think Harold's being tackled, he's probably not, so keep blocking, keep running, keep hustling, because if he slips that first guy, it's suddenly a 20-yard gain." Think about that ripple effect for a second. Most players get caught, the whistle blows, and it's on to the next play. But with Harold, the play never dies, and that forces everyone else on the field to raise their intensity. Because one missed block, one guy jogging too soon, that stuff brings real consequences when you've got a player like Harold who's always fighting for that one more yard. And that mindset? It spreads. Rees broke it down like this. Harold's greatest attribute isn't just agility or balance or lower body strength, though he's got plenty. It's will. Pure, stubborn, you're not taking me down will. He fights through contact like the game depends on it. That kind of spirit is almost uncoachable. It's built through experience and earned through mindset. Rees even admitted, "I don't have a perfect explanation for how he breaks so many tackles, other than he just absolutely refuses to go down." That's mentality. That's a layer of physicality and heart that goes beyond scheme, beyond talent. And it echoes everything Rees has been preaching about this young core. Harold is the connection point between the philosophy and the film, a living example of how effort, attitude, and finish can define a play, a drive, even a season. And the best part? Rees and the staff are finding more and more ways to get him the ball in space. Screens, slants, quick outs, end arounds. The message is simple. Just get it into Harold's hands and let the chaos happen. Because that 6-yard catch could be a 22-yard rumble if someone misses their assignment. This isn't just about play design anymore. It's about players owning their moments, and this group of rookies, this offense in general, they're starting to believe it's their time to own something bigger. That grit Harold runs with? It's the blueprint. And it's not just in the wide receiver room. It's echoed through the QB, Sam, Quinn, Gage, SP, even players who aren't starting yet. The entire tone of the offense has shifted. These guys play with purpose now. Not because someone told them to, but because each guy is setting a standard that demands more from the next. And Rees? He sees it all. And you can hear that pride building when he talks about these young weapons, not like chess pieces, but like young men becoming professionals right before his eyes. He's not coaching stars, he's developing them. And you can feel the blueprint coming together, effort plus execution plus empowerment. It might not show up in every scoreboard right away, it might not be perfect, but here's what it is. Real, sustainable, and growing every week. Because whether it's Harold dragging defenders with him, SP leading breakdowns after practice, the quarterback tightening his footwork, or Sam sprinting for those extra yards, it all points to one thing. This isn't hype. This is a team learning how to win the right way. Day by day, brick by brick. And now, with the future looking more stable than it has in over a decade, the conversation changes from if it'll come together to how good this group could really be once it does. So the only logical next question? Is this the moment Cleveland's years of pain finally start to pay off? So, what do we make of all this? A brutally honest press conference, a rookie quarterback showing poise beyond his years, a backfield with 2 reliable weapons, a wide receiver who refuses to go down, and a room full of rookies playing with the kind of fire that says, "We belong." We've seen flashes of hope in Cleveland before. We've seen promising starts, breakout players, and occasional hot streaks. But this feels different. Because it's real. This isn't a team built on hype or high-priced band-aids. It's a group of smart, tough, and hungry young men being coached by someone who actually knows how to build from the ground up. What Tommy Rees laid out in that press conference wasn't some PR stunt. It wasn't coach speak dressed up as insight. It was the blueprint, the plan, the mindset of someone who's not here to babysit talent, he's here to develop it. And that's rare. He's not calling plays to protect a rookie. He's calling plays to challenge him. He's not sugarcoating mistakes. He's dissecting them in real time so his players can grow, and that growth? It's already showing on the field, even if the win-loss record hasn't caught up just yet. For the first time in a long time, Browns fans aren't just watching games, they're watching something form. Something that could actually last. Because greatness in the NFL rarely shows up all at once. Sometimes, it comes in subtle waves. A quarterback owning a pressure read. A running back picking up blitz and yards at the same time. A rookie wideout dragging 3 defenders 5 yards downfield just because he refuses to stop. These are the moments that turn potential into foundation. And week by week, the pieces are starting to fit. Is it perfect? No. Is the journey complete? Not even close. But if what we're seeing from Tommy Rees, from his quarterback, from this rookie class, is even a fraction of what's being built behind the scenes, then Cleveland just might have something it hasn't had in years. A real future. A real offensive identity. And finally, the kind of infrastructure that turns a good season into a good decade.